And we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Live Reality Games. We are here covering Survivor Boston Season 4. Palamedes, or is it, did I say that right, Charlie? Did I
That
get
was,
corrected?
yeah, I think that was right. I think I said it like Palamedes. That was wrong.
Well, we got that out of the way. Charlie is one of the hosts of Survivor Boston, and of course, I'm here with Nathan, uh, also covering this for Live Reality Games. So, Nathan, Charlie, welcome. Thanks for being here tonight.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, excited.
So we do have a special guest, of course, covering besides Charlie and Nathan here, along with myself, Dustyn. We have our latest voted out person. Spoiler, so if you have not watched episode 1 yet, pause this video real quick and then go watch this again. So we have Madison.
Woo!
Madison, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this and getting a chance to air all the dirt that you know on the show. So
Of course. It's a pleasure to be here.
let's back up a little bit. We made cast assessments just last week. Nathan, Austin, and I picked you to win the whole thing, so I'm super disappointed that you are here with us today. So
Yeah.
I picked you to go first, so while I'm disappointed that you're here today, I'm a little bit excited that
You were on it.
I'm correct, completely
You were
correct,
on
and
it.
Dustyn is super, super wrong. And that makes
The
me
most
feel a little
wrong
bit
we
good
could be.
inside.
Yes. Yeah.
Dustyn, to make you feel better, we did drafts before the game even started, and I had Madison winning too. So I was. So you and I were thinking alike.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, Madison, you had a super strong personality. You were all about team unity. You really wanted to bring the team together, and you were super competitive, maybe a little bit too competitive. And of course,
Definitely.
we'll get in that as we cover the episode here. So the episode starts with a new twist that you introduced even before the first challenge, Charlie. It's called the Temple of Risk. Nathan, Austin, and I kind of did our predictions earlier, what we thought it was going to be and how it was going to work. Charlie, how did you come up with this idea of Temple of Risk?
I think it came from us trying to think of a theme for the season. Because we didn't want to. The seasons prior, we had just named the season after like some location in Boston, and we decided, oh, let's actually kind of put a theme to like this next season that we haven't done before, and we sort of landed on the idea of like risk taking or risk, and through that we kind of stumbled on like this challenge that we could sort of throw into the mix to add that element of risk, because we wanted whatever twist we added to the show, we wanted it to be something that made it a little bit more interesting for the cast, or something that made them have to make some kind of decisions.
Nice. Madison, had you watched Survivor, or did you know the background of Survivor before playing this game?
So honestly, not really. I watched Survivor Boston because I knew people on the cast in season 2, and I was watching it in the summer after my freshman year with my friends from home, and we were like, oh, I should be on this. Like, this would be fun. And it seemed honestly like a good way to meet people, because I, at that point in my college life, hadn't met that many people at Emerson. So I was kind of looking to broaden my horizons, and I was very competitive. So I kind of did want to feed into that competitive nature that I have, but I wish that I had watched more Survivor at the time. I think that would have served me very well.
I was wondering if this twist threw you, but it seemed like you didn't have much of a background to get thrown anyway. So you were ready to go.
Yeah, I was kind of ready for anything.
What were some of your expectations coming in before the game? Did you know anybody? Did you have an idea of like what the game was going to entail?
Yeah. So to be honest, I think what I was most prepared for were the physical challenges and kind of competing in that way. I thought that was really fun, and I thought that I would do really well. Just there's this stereotype that Emerson students aren't very athletic. And I knew that that would be an advantage for myself because I had this background of competitive sports and, like track and field, stuff like that. So I was ready for that. I really loved the drama aspect and kind of the strategy. Um, I'm a very honest person though, so I think that was something I was unprepared for because I do hate lying. And this game is all about lying. And that's something that I was very much blindsided by because I thought, okay, my strategy going into this is I will be just upfront with everybody. I'm going to be real with everybody. And maybe that will be a breath of fresh air for them to feel like there's somebody who is being honest with them. And that was probably not the way that I should have gone because I think I was too honest, too fast, and very kind of overpowering with my sense of competition. I did know Anthony, as you already know, and I did sort of know Finn. It's funny because I had a lot of my friends freshman year lived in the same suite as Finn, but I never became close with Finn. It was like the rest of his roommates, and then there was Finn. So he was always kind of this ominous person in my life who I sort of knew, but he never interacted with us. Like they've said, and I live with one of them now. They're in the kitchen. He said, "You're in our suite more than Finn was." Like Finn never really talked to us. So when I saw Finn, I was honestly terrified. And that's, I think, why I was so quick to gravitate towards him, not only because I knew him, but because I knew him as this kind of unknown, mysterious, and I would rather him be on my side. I don't think that worked in my favor either because I think he had preconceived kind of ideas of me as well, and it was this kind of weird connection that wasn't very real at the beginning. And then everyone else, I'm trying to think if I knew anyone else. Not really. I knew of people. I think, it's a small school, so we knew who people were, but I didn't know anyone on that personal of a level.
Mm-hmm. And that always changes how like the season plays too, especially in the early rounds. You kind of know somebody, so it's like, do I want to be trustworthy with this person? I know them through somebody, and I can trust them. So
definitely.
I found it funny, interesting that you were trying to keep somebody who you like were unsure of close, and then keep your friends Anthony far away on the other tribe.
That's what I was going to say.
It's a very big brother thing to do. And on Survivor, it might have been a little. It would have probably helped you have Anthony on your tribe. Maybe I'm not sure. What do you think about that? About having Anthony on the other tribe?
So we were both originally on Katai, the gray one. That was Katai, I think.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was very relieved. I liked that tribe a lot better. I felt a lot more comfortable in that situation. And kind of like you were saying, there are these people who did come in with friends already. I know Austin and Swetha and Austin and Jackie. And the Fatia tribe was a lot more, I think, in tune with each other from the get-go. So when I was switched to Fatia, I was like, oh God, like this isn't going to go well for me because Anthony and I didn't want to be on the same tribe just because we didn't want it to feel obvious that we knew each other. We were really trying to keep our alliance on the down low. But I also was a little bit happy because I was like, okay, there's this person who I know I can connect with. Hallie is an amazing, kind presence. So I felt very comfortable with her right off the bat. Brady and Anissa were freshmen. So I kind of felt a little bit like, okay, there are people who are younger than me and people who they literally just started college that week. So it was a little bit more of a vulnerable situation for them. And then who else was on that tribe? I can't remember, but I just remember feeling a lot more comfortable. So it was hard. I wasn't expecting Anna to do that. Oh my God, Big H. I love Big H. I love him. I was so happy when Hector was on my team because I had just met him that day and he was so funny. He was so nice. And I thought, oh, this is Gonna be great. Little did I know.
Now, Big H surprised me from his intro videos. I really got a different type of personality than what we're seeing in these live clips of the game. So I'm really super excited to see how comfortable Big H is in front of the camera when he's not doing like a straightforward interview. He's very different talking to people as opposed to talking to the camera.
Yeah.
That's super true. His confessionals, like Big H in his confessionals and Big H and like footage that he's recording with other players, it's completely different.
Yeah.
I think he was a little bit more nervous in confessionals, or at least withholding.
It was kind of shocking to see that in a way, like when he and Anissa had their first kind of like alliance meeting, and then he was talking behind the scenes. It was like, who are you, Big H? And his wariness of Anthony is something that I didn't know about, because I think from the jump, Anthony and I were both like, wow, we love Big H. We want to work with him. We want to bring him into this. And then he was like, I don't know how I feel about Anthony. And I said, oh, Big H. I didn't know that. So it was very interesting to see his kind of other side.
Now, backing up, at the start, we were talking about the Temple of Risk, and there was a challenge, right, that happened immediately before the first challenge, before you really got to know even anybody in the cast. You stepped up to play the challenge. You were one of 9 people. I didn't think there was going to be that many people to step up for the first random challenge.
Yeah.
It turned out well for you, of course. Do you think that maybe that was still the best move, or stepping up such a strong player at first, or maybe you should have taken a step back?
I don't think that that's what hurt me. I think if I had played the cards right after that challenge, I would have had the benefit of being seen as somebody who is competitive and skilled in these kind of group challenge situations, because I do think that that's an asset that I would have been able to contribute to moving forward. And it's not like Fatia failed during our first real challenge. We were really neck and neck. So I don't regret that. I like that I, in my short time, got to show a little bit of the skill that I really had. And I think, prove people like Nathan wrong. You were like, my hoop earrings are gonna we're trying to run, and I can run, and I can perform in that way. So no, I think it was fun, and that wasn't my downfall.
I think you're thinking is spot on there, because you have so few chances in these team challenges to show off your skills. If you look at just the challenge from this first episode, there was a lot of roles, but not a chance to shine in a way that you can with an individual challenge. And so, especially for coming out of the gate, if you're worried that you might get voted off for that, I think you did a great job in stepping up.
Thanks.
We have one of our biggest Survivor Boston fans out there. Juju's chiming in. A little shout out to Charlie right there.
Hey, Juju.
You've got similar hair.
Glad you're watching. Me and Juju.
Juju's been with us for a while, so.
Charlie, what were you expecting to do with this challenge since so many people had stepped up? What was it? Was the game plan basically the same?
It was basically the same. You know how we did it in 2 waves, 2 different groups of people? I think we were expecting to just do it with one group. So it was I think, I'm trying to remember back, but I think how we were going to do it, it was going to be one group of people do it in total, and then the 2 winners, and then the 1 loser from that, instead of doing it in a bunch of different waves. So we definitely weren't expecting the amount of people to come out of the gate so early, wanting to take this risk. But we really like that too, because as you guys could see from the rest of this episode, people are really eager to really jump into the gameplay, not just the challenges, but everything else too,
Yeah, I think everyone's gung-ho at making alliances right off the bat. And going crazy. Back to the wave kind of thing that you did with production and lining them up how you did, and the eliminations, that was brilliant. It was so great to watch, the different heats, and then watching the winners pair off and then the losers pair off. Madison, of course, was one of our winners and my winner at heart. But we also have a loser in this too. Marlon did get the last place, and he received a disadvantage during that challenge.
Poor
And
Marlon.
I think it's a very clever disadvantage. It's not a huge downfall to have no vote at the first 3. You get the option. So I think that was really well based too, really well rounded as a power per se.
Yeah, it's a kind of disadvantage where if he plays it wrong, it could lead to his demise that it wouldn't have been otherwise. And if he like keeps it mostly to himself, he's probably fine.
So we're going through a really large storm right here, and in Norton Shores, in the area I live, my lights just flashed. So if I cut out everyone, just keep talking, and I'll join in. You see that?
Safe.
Yeah,
I saw the flickering. Yeah.
So that's just a heads up. We do have somebody chiming in for Madison too, Anthony.
Hey.
Anthony. We'll see Anthony somewhere down the line, hopefully, like in 2 months or so. Hopefully, this will be longer
after the finale episode.
Hey, there we go. So challenge goes on. Marlon does get not chosen for a team. Also, I think this is terrible.
And the thing was, the whole idea of someone not being chosen for a team and someone being exiled, that we had to kind of slap on last minute because of that person dropping out. Like, you guys remember when everyone was lined up in front of the black curtain? We had them lined up there for a little while, just kind of waiting while we were trying to see if this 18th person was going to come. Then when we found out this 18th person wasn't coming and wasn't going to be participating, me and Jacob had to quickly band together, and we were like, okay, yeah, so one person not picked for a tribe. Okay, that person will be exiled, blah, 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 blah. And we put that together really quickly. So it's unfortunate that Marlon got a disadvantage and then is not picked for a tribe. And I think the whole idea of someone getting the disadvantage doesn't lend themselves very well to getting picked for the tribe. But that's kind of how it ended up.
Yeah, Madison, did you have any insight for why Marlon wasn't picked? Because it was, even with him performing poorly in the challenge, it was a little bit surprising.
I was also surprised. I really liked Marlon. I didn't know him at all. I had never met him before that day. And I think, especially looking back, I was surprised that he wasn't chosen, because I think a lot of people really loved him. And I think it was just the way that it kind of worked out with the schoolyard domino effect, where it was like, oh, well, my friend is here and my friend is, it just kind of didn't work out for him. But I think in a way, he wasn't the first person voted off, and he did kind of get to pass through the first week. So I'm not sure if that really nailed him as much. I think he probably, if he were to play that right, could come back from that. And he's such a likable person that I had faith when I knew he was taking my position that he would still be able to do well, even though he was joining the team late. I mean, we barely knew each other at that point, so it wasn't that much of a difference for them, I think.
Who is he likely to be working with when he comes back in?
Oh.
You'll have to find out.
So, yeah.
No, I was wondering, it is college Survivor, so typically in college-based Survivors, other teams can commingle and whatnot. Did Marlon do any, chat during that first few days, Charlie?
Well, since he was exiled, he wasn't allowed to chat with anyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I will say, when Carly, Max, and I met, we did want Marlon on our side because we knew that he was going to be joining us. And at that point, we didn't think any one of us was leaving. So we were like, once Marlon comes in, we have to get him on our side. He's our year. He's not really part of this kind of alliance that the rest of the team has going on. Because the way we saw it was, there was me, Carly, and Max. And then there was Swetha, Finn, Zach, and Maddie. And we thought Marlon would be our kind of fourth person to help with the numbers. And Anna was this kind of random in-between person who was a freshman who we thought was going home. So that's the way we saw it. And I can't say how it plays out. But
episode 2, this Thursday, 8:00, right, Charlie, for the live?
8:00, Eastern
8
Standard.
o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Jacob chimed in just for a moment. Seems like he was shocked too about the number. You guys only prepared so many baskets for one heat.
Exactly.
So speaking of Anna, so you and Anna Madison, you had to after you pick your teams, then you get to mingle for a little bit and then have to come to another decision. What was that whole experience like?
Terrible. I was not expecting that to be my advantage, and in a lot of ways I did not feel like it was an advantage, because we had to kind of pick and choose people once again when we had already started off doing that and already started off as these strong captain types. So it was awful just to have to steal people away, and especially looking back, like Austin and Jess are who I picked, and they both said how comfortable they were on that tribe and how they loved everybody on that tribe already. And I was looking back like, oh my God, I just had no idea, because Austin was somebody who I saw as a strong player as well. So I wanted him on my side. And obviously Anthony knew Jess. So I thought, okay, let's get Jess over here if I have to be switching people right now. And I didn't even think that Anna would switch me. And so then I was like, oh God. It was just a lot of unfamiliars moving on to Fatia for me.
It seemed like you bonded really well, though, right after the challenge. I think it was you in a group of 4. You, where was it?
It's you and Max and
Carly and Anna. You guys
I did
were
yes.
right after the challenge, or at least by the editing you were. So,
and that's something I forgot to say. I did kind of know Carly going into the game. I don't remember how, but I did kind of know Carly, and I think we all walked out together because, again, we were kind of the rest that weren't part of that group that the rest of our tribe already had going on previous to the game. So I think it was kind of like the misfits kind of like all joined each other.
And then after the challenge, you and Anthony do a little confessional together, which is probably one of my favorite moments. You guys have such great personalities. You know each other a little bit. You said you knew each other before the game, and your personality just clicked so well, and so fun to watch the two of you like banter off each other.
Thank you.
You have one great line in that too. You said there were no weak players, only players with weak spots. So I thought that was a great line.
Did Anthony say that?
I think
Anthony
you said it, actually.
No way.
Maddie.
That was Maddie. That was Maddie. That was Maddie after she had
no weak players, just players with weaknesses.
She had her conversation with Zach about Anthony and Carly.
Yeah.
And then, I think that was Maddie.
Yeah, I didn't say anything that profound. There's no way.
So Madison, about the tribe pick, so you didn't pick anyone. You didn't pick anyone on that tribe you ended up on. Did that
Finn.
play? You did pick Finn.
True. He was the first
Finn.
Did that play against you because you didn't pick them? You were like the captain that you didn't pick them.
Interesting to think about. I think yes, in some ways, because when you think about the trickle-down effect, in a way, it's like this initial person who I pick is going to pick somebody else who they like. So in a way, you're kind of creating tribes that are a little bit influenced by the first captain, even though they're not necessarily directly picking. But I think that picking Finn as my first was probably a mistake, because I think even though Finn was my first pick, we were both switched onto the same tribe, and he ended up being with people who were more similar and who he already knew. And I think it would have benefited me to have not picked somebody who already had great connections going into the game. Like, I thought to myself, why didn't I pick Marlon first? Or why didn't I pick Big H? Because off the bat, I just had really nice and friendly impressions of them. So I wish that I had kind of gone more out of the box when I was, it was very quick paced in that moment. So I couldn't really give that much thought to it.
Hey, so about Finn, I have a question for Charlie. There's a lot of chyrons that happen in this show, and I tried to take notes of whenever there'd be an interesting chiron, and one for Finn said multi-hyphenate. What does that even mean?
Oh my god, what does that mean? Because he chose it. They all chose their lower thirds.
Oh, okay.
Jacob, if you're watching and you know what it is, you can comment it. But
it seemed like some of them change over the course of the episode, but I didn't know what multi-hyphenate is.
That's a great question. I wish I had the answer right now. I'm sure Jacob might know, and he might comment in.
And this is a great comment for whenever we get to interview Finn too. Be like, first question, dying question.
What does multi-hyphenate mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, we really do. We give them the freedom to choose their lower thirds, and sometimes they're really out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of an
Finn is such an interesting. It's so interesting with Finn's case because there's so much talk this episode centered around Finn and how he gives a weird kind of presence. He gives a weird vibe. I don't know if we can trust him from a lot of different people.
It sounds like I thought Finn was going to be the target. I was thinking hopefully maybe you would sway the vote towards Finn. Of course, that didn't work out. But I thought Finn was the next practical target. And also on the bottom of Nathan and Austin's list too. So I was like, hey, we all win if that was going to be the case. So
yeah,
and it seems that way because it's go ahead.
No, you can go.
I was just going to say it seems that way because his name is just brought up so much, in this episode.
Hey, there's always next week. We can keep my streak going. If Finn gets voted out next week, then I'm 2 for 2. And I wouldn't be so upset about that. Sorry, Finn.
Yeah, because even the conversation I think you had with Anna, I think she had some doubts about. No, you were trying to bring up Finn. She was trying to go for Swetha.
That's right. Yeah, I think
But she was okay voting for Finn. You could have been like, "Oh, let's switch to Finn at this point."
Okay, that's the thing with the conversation with Anna. At that point, I'm pretty sure Anna and I talked almost right before the tribal. At that point, Anna and I were lying to each other, and we knew I knew I was lying to her. She knew she was lying to me, but we didn't know that the other knew, and it was just very complicated. But I regret trusting Max so easily for no good reason. I have no idea what was going through my head with that, because Max did have this kind of oh, Finn's just he's just quiet. He's a nice guy, and I'm gonna protect Finn. And then apparently goes to Finn and says, you're something's going on. And then Finn and Zach have this conversation that I thought, that was really going to nail me in when I was watching that. But it didn't seem to go that way. But I think Max was doing a lot of kind of messy work behind the scenes. Sorry, Max, if you're watching this. But he was just a little bit kind of all over the place. And I'm not really sure where I went to him so immediately. I think it was just, again, that kind of misfits. We're not friends with them. And there's no way for, we're their initial targets. And we knew that because they all knew each other. And Max just was, I don't know what he was thinking. But when he said, I kind of trust Finn and I want Finn to be on our side, I was like, no, there's a disconnect here, because I don't think that Finn will ever have Max's best interest. And I don't think he'll have my best interest, because I know that there are people who Finn is more loyal to right now.
Would have helped you to kind of keep on the Anna train instead of going for Finn a little bit?
No, I think once I said that, Maddie initially was like, this girl's gotta go. She said the first name, she did well in the challenge, she's a threat, she has to go. And I think the only way that I could have made that better is if I had gone to Maddie, Swetha, Anna, all of them, beforehand and been like, hey, I messed up. I shouldn't have said that. But I never did that because I didn't think about it. And even then, even if I had done that, I'm not sure that would have changed things because of the dynamics that were already there.
Did it have anything to do with Maddie's name being so close to yours?
No.
Was she jealous? Was she like, I can only be the only Maddie here?
It was funny. Oh, it was so funny hearing your guys' cast assessment saying like, oh, Maddie's going to make a move on Madison or something but which is true. It's what happened.
You were like,
but the reason it wasn't because of the name.
You were right. They did like Maddie more. And I think mostly because they knew Maddie already. They almost everybody did. And nobody really knew who I was. So they did like Maddie more. I don't think her full name is Madison. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Yeah.
Maybe if you went as like Big M, you would have been okay.
I should have done
that.
Big M went first Temple of Risk.
Big M. Oh my god.
Let's see here. So, there's a lot of gameplay from the other side too, and I think
a lot to do with which grade people are in, from what I've noticed. How is that playing up with, it seemed like Brady and Nisa and Anna are all freshmen. And then we had 4 or 5 seniors, and it seemed like attention was either on the freshmen or it was on the seniors. How is that playing out on your tribe or the other tribe, from what you can tell?
Because you were with the sophomores, right?
Yeah, me, Carly, Max, Finn, Zach, we're all the same year. I think Brady was the main proponent for like, oh, we're the freshmen. I think he was the one who was really hung up on that. And nobody else really was. I think there was kind of a familiarity and comfort knowing that somebody was the same year as you. But Brady was very, oh my God, like watching him back, I knew that he was crazy. We all knew that he was going berserk. It was obvious from the very beginning that this guy, and I knew from Anthony too, because he would come home and be like, Brady's already going hard. And this is like, they didn't even lose the challenge. They won. So this was a time where you would think that they would be kind of just bonding with each other, getting to know each other and celebrating. And then I see this video of Brady in his room alone telling the camera, I'm going to be at the end the first week. And it's like, this guy was on some other level. Like, it wasn't, I don't think it mattered that much what our years were. I think it was kind of, maybe an initial superficial kind of feeling, but
and I think that and I think that kind of goes with the eagerness to like jump into the gameplay. When you do that, you're gonna go off of like some superficial things to try to like jump into the gameplay. And so I think with some people like Brady, he's thinking, okay, how do I like form these groups really quickly so I can start playing the game? And he's thinking about the class, the freshmen, sophomores, the different classes.
And what he said about Anissa was like, she'll be the sacrificial freshman and I'll be the one who goes to the end. I was like, Anissa, poor girl. Like this, I just think it was not as well. I think at Emerson especially, there's less of a culture of like freshmen and seniors, and like we're not really a school that's like that. So I feel like maybe there was that lack of understanding too, right off the bat, of how things operate, where friendships really thrive in the organizations that we're in and our majors rather than what year we are. So I think you can kind of see alliances that form based on similar interests rather than age alone.
Now, I'm curious if Brady's fashion at all influenced your perception of him, because I noticed him wearing an Emerson College mom shirt, and I just wondered if there was motherly energy coming from him at all. If he was
that didn't faze me at all. There are so many people like that at Emerson. Like his fashion is not new. It's not like I was just walking into another Emerson classroom. Brady's like identity wasn't anything that I thought twice about. It was only the things that he would say and the attitude that he had.
Now, if he adopted anybody in the cast to be his child, who would it be?
To be his child?
It seems like he's trying to adopt Anissa a little bit.
It did, and sacrifice her later. So
Yeah.
And that's the most. I think that's the funniest thing because right off the bat, I saw Anissa as a dominant personality, and Brady as somebody who tries to be dominant but doesn't necessarily succeed in that way. So the fact that he was like, Anissa, I'm gonna manipulate you. I don't know. I felt really kind of off-put seeing that happening.
I will say, I think there's so many interesting things to say about Brady because you can tell how like chaotic he is of a personality, but the way things have gone throughout this episode, he's seeming to start to like set up numbers a certain way. You know, it seems to be going okay.
He talked to a lot of people, and again, they won the challenge, but he still, that's what I commend him for, and something that I wish I had done. He still made sure that he was going to start building relationships very soon, and that was really smart on his part. However chaotic they were, and however evil he seemed behind the scenes.
And then at the same time, he would build them and tell people he was building them. Like, everyone in the tribe knew that Brady was talking to everyone because he told everyone, I'm talking to everyone almost. He tried to make alliances with the whole team, though. I don't know. I think that was maybe a little bit too much. So if his team were to have lost, maybe that would have hurt him in the end, or soon to be hurting him in the end. We don't know.
I'm enjoying Brady so much. It's messy.
He's fun to watch. He's very fun
but
to
I
watch.
think being proactive really is more helpful than hurtful. Would I rather him not talk to enough people or talk too much? I'd rather him talk to too many people in a game like this, because it's really, when you're thinking about like the names who you want to vote off, it's going to be the person who you've talked to like not at all that you're going to be more inclined to vote out than even the person who's like, he's the evil, at least. And maybe Madison. Well, actually, we should backtrack to the challenge a little bit. We're getting.
Before we get to the challenge, quick shout out from this new person. Hello.
Hi.
Shout out.
What's up?
Thanks for joining us. Let's pick up on the challenge. So, Madison, it seems like you probably volunteered to be one of the throwers again. The challenge is actually made by Shelly. Shelly was one of my favorite people, I want to say, right?
Oh, really?
She was the one that lost in that season with the blindfold challenge that she couldn't.
Beacon Hill, yeah.
Yeah. She was super nice. Super nice. I like the super nice people. So
Shelly is a personality. I met her my very first week of college, and I think everyone knows Shelly. She's very unique. She's very much her own. She's very, very cool. Very funny.
She did a PowerPoint to save herself, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And we were super happy to keep Shelly involved this next season too, helping us with challenges a little bit.
All right, that was just my quick shout out to Shelly.
Yeah.
Shelly fan here.
Shout out, Shelly.
So you volunteer, Madison, probably for the throwing, I'm assuming, from your background in softball. How do you think everyone else on your team stepped up to the challenge like you did?
Swatha and Anna, I remember being like, yes, we want to do the puzzles. We're good at that. Like, that's how our brains work. And we were like, okay, yeah. And I think Maddie was also pretty quick to volunteer for the cups. And then I think whoever was catching the ball was like, I don't know what else to do. So, I mean, I think we all did really well. It's hard. A lot of it was kind of luck, like balancing a ball on a board like that is very difficult.
It seemed like you and Carly had a little bit of miscommunication. You were like, here, take the ball. Oh, no, you have the ball. You guys were playing really nice. Be like, okay, it's your turn. Go ahead. Or, oh, I picked it up for you. There were a few clips there. It seemed like there was a lot of miscommunication between the two of you going on at the challenge.
There definitely could have been. And in those moments, you're just like so frazzled. And especially in the terms of Survivor, where you're like reading into every single interaction you have, it's like, oh, I don't want to look like I'm taking over, and I don't want to be too dominant here. So that might have been my mindset if that happened. I can barely remember it, but I do remember just being so close at the end when the risk it to the biscuit happened. They got it like right after we figured it out. So
it's funny because I think Jacob was focused on watching Katai and I was focused on watching Fatia, and I saw you guys like about to put it together, like you were just putting together the last letters, and I was about to be like, Fatia wins immunity, but you, Jacob, go 1 second before.
Yeah, so somebody asked permission to cheat on the puzzle. Do we, Dustyn, did you catch who asked permission?
Anissa.
I remember, yeah.
She's like, can I go look? And you were like, yeah.
Jacob's like,
Jacob
yeah.
was like, always. And I was like,
I love asking permission for it instead of just doing it.
And Max ran right over to the other side, so it was all fair. So
it was all everyone was mixing and matching.
Yeah.
I did learn a new phrase though. So risk it for the biscuit. That was a new one for me. I had never
Really?
heard of it before.
Well, we brought it up in our preview.
I know. I was like, where did this come from?
From Survivor Boston, season 4.
We just predicted everything for this episode.
Do you think you could have been better suited somewhere else, or at Madison, your throwing skills are pretty solid?
That's hard to say. I also like puzzles. I like puzzles, but I think, it made sense because I did that challenge and I performed, throwing a ball into a basket. So throwing a ball onto a board wasn't much different. So I think it made sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And a couple people missed the challenge, right?
No, everyone was there.
Or was everyone there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone was there, which was impressive.
Just not Marlon.
Oh yeah, just not Marlon since he was exiled.
Okay.
I think but we were happy that everyone was there because we've had a lot of challenges in like past seasons. There's a lot of times there's at least like 1 or 2 people who can't make it, so we felt pretty fortunate with that first challenge.
So I think it probably depends on like scheduling with all your classes and whatnot too, right? Because that's super important to attend those classes and this Survivor thing on the side.
Survivor Boston first. Come on.
Yeah. Do you just give up on homework while you're playing?
I can't say because I was in it for so short of a time, but also we did it on the weekend. Yeah, I feel like I don't remember if Anthony ever did it much during the week, but I think they did a good job of making sure we were like, Emerson doesn't usually have a ton of Friday classes, so that would be really helpful. Like Thursday nights, Fridays, Saturdays, like I think they did a good job with that.
I think there are times where people spend so much time like talking to other people or trying to like meet up or talk strategy. And so that might be the times where they skimp on homework a little bit, not necessarily challenges schedule.
True.
But I can't speak to experience. I'm just a host. I'm just reading the votes.
He just watches all of the videos that everybody submits.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear after the season who just submitted like the most videos that you had to sit through.
Oh God, if I had to guess, it has to be Brady for this.
I would guess the same thing.
It has to be hours.
I'll have to see. I'll have to check.
So I guess this brings us to Tribal now. Did we have more about the challenge? More conversations maybe we missed?
I wanted to ask about the conversation that you had with Max and Carly, because it seemed like it wasn't just because it happened to just the timeline of it seemed to happen after breakfast, and then you went up on some bleachers and people saw you or something.
Let's talk about that.
And then you didn't really talk to anybody else. So I just was wondering like, what all happened there. Did you just after breakfast? Were you just content with the vote, and what was going on?
You know, I don't know what I was thinking. I was acting completely out of my anxiety. First of all, I don't even remember how I got Max's number. I don't know how that happened, but I had Max's number and I had Carly's number, and I said, let's meet. Like, just very nervous and very much like, okay, I need some kind of validation that these people will be on my side. And I think I was kind of feeling like maybe I messed up by saying Anna's name, but the reception at the time also wasn't too negative because it was kind of just like, yeah, Anna's not here. And it seemed in my head like an easy vote and not something that was a personal attack right at the beginning, because it was like, oh, well, this person wasn't at our meeting, so that's how we chose. Sorry. Instead, it was like, no, Madison is a threat. We're going to get her out immediately. And that's a lot more personal, and I think that's why Maddie came off of such like a big player right from the jump, because she was already strategizing. So Max and Carly and I met. Another thing, I don't know how Maddie knew that I didn't live in their dorm building, but somehow she knew, because the two of them lived in the same building, and I went to their room.
And somehow it was either Maddie or somebody else knew that you guys were meeting up, that you, Carly, and Max were meeting up.
I think, okay, so Maddie and Zach, I think at that time, were meeting in the P row, which is like, they were meeting too. They met right after breakfast, and they were going to meet in this cafe that's in that dorm. And Maddie was like, oh, well, we saw Max and Carly and Madison going
How
up
dare
to
they
the
meet?
row while we were meeting. And I was like, and Maddie's like, and I knew Madison didn't live in that dorm. And I was like, how? I don't know. So somehow all of the stars aligned, and Maddie was like, aha, Madison is plotting something. And we met. It wasn't that, you saw that meeting. It was me being like, I'm scared of Finn. And they were like, okay. And thinking we were all safe. Yeah, I think I definitely would have waited to meet with them. I would have, just texted them on a different day at a different time, not right after breakfast. And it was just unfortunate that our campus is small enough that Maddie and Zach also went to have their secret alliance meeting in the same building as us.
It's interesting because I think until Maddie switched things around, I think Anna is what was going to happen. Even though you did throw out her name, I think a lot of people were okay with that. They didn't want to do anything crazy. They were signed on until Maddie thought, oh shoot, I think this is a good time to turn this around.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I almost thought it was kind of an immediate, like, this girl just said a name.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it did seem from the episode that there was a flip of people's minds at some point, because even later late in the episode when Maddie catches up with Swetha, it seemed like Swetha hadn't really thought about voting out you at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a slow kind of development. I think that led to that, because even from Jacob and I's perspective, throughout the day, we did not, or at least throughout the weekend, we were expecting a unanimous vote for Anna until I think the last half of Sunday.
Wow.
Sunday was the day of tribal. So the last half of the day, I think, when we were doing confessionals and found out what was going on. If I'm remembering correctly, since it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we make of the conversation between Finn and Zach at the party with the taped brick wall behind them? Is that normal decoration at Emerson?
Yeah.
Okay. I think so, yeah.
It looked like they were at an Austin apartment or something. Very typical party.
Yeah, I really like that conversation.
About the conversation about Max inviting Finn over and whatnot, and seeing like he's trying to like gain another alliance member too. So.
I would, and that's the thing. When with just the type of people that Max and Finn are, I kind of knew that Max was a little bit out of his realm when he was thinking, oh, I can get Finn just because my roommate is best friends with him. It's like, your roommate doesn't, like, that's too far, you know? And I do think that they're not really compatible people and not compatible players, where Finn clearly had this deep alliance with Zach at the beginning. They were at a party together, like they knew each other, and they were able to very candidly speak about what does Max think he's doing right now? Like, this is kind of weird. I don't really know him. So I think he kind of misjudged the outside relationships and then the relationship that they could have in Survivor, where Finn was definitely going to look out for other players first.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that Max, he wasn't trying to scheme. I think he was just trying to put his numbers together. Like, oh, I have Carly and Madison. Let's get Finn onto this. He'll like it. But then he instead just kind of threw out the information of the people he was already aligned with, and it bit all three of you guys in the butt
very badly.
If it makes you feel any better, Madison, you weren't the only person going into that tribal feeling comfortable. So it could have easily been any one of you being blindsided.
Yeah.
Especially, I think Max. Like, Max is so comfortable in the vote. He's going to do a throw vote. Like, he's like, everyone's going to vote for Anna. I'm going to do one. Like,
we were shocked. Like, after I left the room first, obviously, and I was like, who did that? Like, what's going on? I'm so confused.
Not only who voted for me, who voted for Carly.
I know. Like, clearly there was some kind of like, so I knew I voted for Anna. I was pretty positive that Carly voted for Anna. And then in my head, I was putting it together like, okay, maybe Max voted for Carly. So was he against us this whole time? Like, was he scheming against us from the get-go? And then Max texted us and was like, LOL, sorry, guys. Just wanted to keep everyone on their toes. Like, didn't want to make it look like a unanimous vote. Turns out, like, I was wrong because bye, Madison. So
I think that logic is so funny. Just want to keep my alliance on their toes.
Right? He's like, haha.
Such a bad alliance member.
Right.
Well, sometimes they like to do those throw votes to try to get another target involved. I mean, like, hey, I heard this person targeted you, Carly. Like, we have to go after this person next round, and so on and so forth. So I think he was trying to set up a round, but his setup wasn't even set up because, unfortunately, there was nothing there. So.
How shocked were you when your name came up? Like, did you not expect it at all, or?
I think I was getting some weird feelings when I was in the tribal. When I was walking in, I was like, I'm fine. Anna's going home. This is all very easy. Whatever. And then there were like, people were giving these answers to Charlie's probing questions where they were like, oh, well, it's nothing personal, but this is just like for the best of the team. And I was like, this doesn't sound like a decision that we made just because it was an easy decision. This sounds like something that was a little deeper, and I'm not clued into this, so now I'm worried. So when I saw my name the first time, because they set it up so that Anna's name comes up first. And then I'm shocked because then mine comes up after that. And I'm like, wait, what? By that time, I was like, I think I'm going home.
Yeah, there's always a little feeling you have in the room.
Yeah.
When things aren't quite right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, we were sorry to see you leave so soon, especially after being such a standout character in the episode.
Okay.
Have you played any other LRGs or online games since then? Or are you interested? Would you ever play again?
I think I would play again. I am older now. It's been, a few years. I've really kind of, I think, come into my own. So I think I'd be interested to see how I perform, that I know myself better and I know more about the game now. So I think I would try it out.
I don't even want to hear like a maybe. I want to see you play again, Madison. There is no doubt in
Okay,
my
I'll play
mind how
again.
fantastic. You were such a character, and you had such great like smarts
Yeah.
about the game. Of course, there were those little things that caught you up, and then
Yeah,
it just tough playing. But you had the skills, you had the conversations you had to have, and it was just one of those. Like the first vote is usually pretty random how people come up with it. So I think it just
Yeah.
ended up on that.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
From my perspective, I mean, obviously you were my winner pick going into, and actually Anna was my runner up in my draft. So it was between my winner pick and my runner up in my draft for who was going to go home.
The captains, were you like?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to do really well. This is with my draft. But yeah, from my perspective, and I think from all of production's perspective, we definitely saw you as like a power player from the beginning, and then it just happened to not go the way any of us were expecting, really, at first.
Yeah.
You know,
Maddie she really came in with that.
She really did that.
She did.
You just need to play on a cast without someone with the same name as you.
That's hard. I have like.
I'm telling you, that's not it.
I swear
Like-
it is.
Yeah, your name is Nathan and mine is Madison. Like, there are a million of us in this world. Like, that's just bound to happen, you know?
Yeah. I played on a game where you share a name. It's the jealousy is like it's an undercurrent that you can't necessarily read on the right off the bat. Yeah.
It was Nathan and Nate versus each other the entire game. So if you have not watched Big Brother Columbus, if you have some off time,
Wait, you're from Columbus, Ohio?
No. I'm from all sorts of places. I just went there for a weekend to play a Big Brother with strangers. It was great.
Okay. I'm from Ohio, so when I hear like
Oh.
Ohio things.
Well, Big Brother
actually,
Columbus is
Anna
taking
is from-
applications, so
They are?
Ooh.
A lot of my friends go to Ohio State.
It's
But
a
Anna
really
is
fun
from
game.
Cincinnati too, and that was a very quick kind of connection between us because she was from Ohio, and there's not a lot of people at our school who are from there. So, yeah. But
for everyone looking
Columbus.
to join a live reality game, visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/group/LRG casting, live reality games casting. So, like you said, Big Brother Columbus is casting. We have a bunch of great other things casting too. So make sure you join that page. I know Pennsylvania, we have Reelfoot, we have Totem Pole, even one of the biggest live reality games in the community is casting for their next season. So Madison, I can't wait to see you on your next adventure. Maybe you and Anthony can team up for something and, join us here like Nathan did. Charlie, thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I don't want it to be done yet. I don't want to say goodbye to Madison yet.
Do we have predictions for next week? We haven't
I
talked about
would
next
love
week.
to hear your guys' thoughts.
Oh my gosh.
Dustyn, what is your
We need
prediction for next
here
week?
for that one. My prediction's going to be like the opposite of what's going to happen. Who did I say was going to get voted out? Finn. All right. Downfall of Finn's coming up.
I agree. I think Finn is in potentially trouble, especially because there was one or two conversations that Maddie had where she was like, we just need Finn for right now. And it seems like they might be able to flip that against him next time. So I don't know if
Other tribe. Who's your
Brady.
No.
going early?
No.
Yeah, now it is. I think he's having way too many conversations with people. I think that he is telling people about all the conversations he's having, but once people compare their notes, they're going to target him. I don't know.
I'm gonna say Hallie. I'm just gonna stick to my boot list that I came.
I thought Hallie was gonna be the first voted
We
out.
didn't talk
When
much
she
about
came
Hallie.
when Hallie came in and said, "Actually, it's Palamedes," I was like, "This girl's going."
Yeah. Okay. That's so.
But
I was
love her.
ruined.
She's so sweet. She is such a sweet person.
But
so,
they could easily see it as like taking a knock at Brady, but without, maybe in like an indirect way. So. So
True.
Maybe. So I'm gonna go with Hallie if that tribe loses, but I think that Fotia, is it Fotia?
Fatia?
Fatia, yeah.
Yeah. Please, where's Hallie to correct my pronunciation?
Yeah, don't trust me. We gotta get
We just need her on every call just to like correct people.
Actually.
Yeah.
But I think Fodia is going to lose again, and I think that Finn is going to get voted out.
Okay. We'll find out soon.
And how soon are we going to find out, Charlie? When's the next episode?
This Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Woo.
And it premieres on YouTube, and they have live comments. So make sure you comment as much as you can and get your winner picks in. We want to hear all about them.
It's gonna be another long one.
Another hour and a half.
Hour 15, I think.
Hour 15. Okay, sounds good.
Fantastic.
Whoa.
Should be some good strategy then.
Mm-hmm. I take way too many notes for this now. So.
Yeah, I'm like, two pages double-sided. I'm like, it's a lot to.
And we got through it.
We got through it.
We got through it.
And we didn't get through it by ourselves. You know, we had Juju chime in. Thanks, Juju. Our friend Anthony Jacob was here. Our new friend, whoever that person is.
Hey.
I don't know. So, and then Anissa.
Anissa.
She said this was great. You know, we're all great into this together. And Survivor Boston is great, season 4. So everyone, if you have not checked out the episode, you know who gets voted out first. But it is worth the rewatch, people. It is okay. So, Madison, any final thoughts? You're a special guest tonight. This is kind of your stage to say anything about. Did you learn anything about yourself? Are you taking anything away from this experience? So,
God. I feel like so much. I wish that I had prepared myself better, watching more Survivor, being willing to, I guess, take the background, but also know how to play the game early on. I think it is hard with the small school that we have and the connections that were existing beforehand. It's really hard to get past that. And it's really hard to kind of prove yourself in a tribe sense very early on when there are people who are definitely going to look out for each other. Like, if Anthony and I had been on the same tribe, there's no way that you could have convinced me to vote for him that first round. Like, there is, you know, that connection kind of goes deep when you're in the game. And when you're in the real game of Survivor, you're all a bunch of strangers for the most part, and that doesn't really exist as much. So I think that's something that's really unique, especially to our, you know, like 4,000 undergrad population. But yeah, it was really fun, and I would definitely like to do it again and see, take what I've learned and apply it to a new strategy and see if I could do better than first out. Second out, even.
Moving on up, right?
Love to see it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again for everyone tuning in. Find us at facebook.com/live reality games or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Live Reality Games. Thanks again, and everyone have a great night.